Hi everyone, very good morning to all. Welcome to the technical session on VMware Backup and Replication using Vembu's VMBackup. My name is Manoj and I'm here a part of sales engineering team with Vembu Technologies. For today's session, I have a couple of my colleagues, Tiago and Santhan, who are also a part of sales engineering with Vembu. I see the attendees are quickly joining the session, so let's give a couple of minutes for every one of them to join, and then we can get started. Thank you. Thank you. Hope everyone has joined. So before we start, let me set the ground rules for this session. You are automatically in mute, however, you have a question box. So during the session, if you got any questions, please feel free to post it. And by the end of the session, we can spend some time for answering your questions. To start with, let's have a quick intro about the company profile. Vembu Technologies is founded in the year 2004. We are a private company, profitable since 2006, headquartered in Chennai, India. We have 4,000 plus channel partners globally, and we reach more than 60,000 businesses so far. 70% of our customers are from North America, 20% from Europe, and the rest 10% from Asia Pacific regions. So today's agenda would be like data centers face and using Vembu's VM backup, how can we overcome those challenges? And then we take a deep dive into the product by going through the product architecture of Vembu VM backup, various backup transport modes, and a live demo of the product that covers the disaster recovery scenarios too. And at the last, we'll have a quick discussion on the pricing, and we'll go through the questionnaire section. So speaking about the data center challenges, majority of the IT administrators who are managing the data center will come across the same type of challenges in their environments. And we have summarized a few of those, and our idea is to overcome these challenges with our efficient product called Vembu's VM Backup. So some of them are how fast I can recover the data center during the disaster, and how can I avoid a data loss after disaster recovery? Can I rely on my backups? And how do I control the exponential data growth happening on the storage? And at last, the migration between the physical to virtual environments and between the hybrid virtual environments like VMware to HyperV and vice versa. So let's see how in detail Vembu's VM backup will address these challenges with it. And to have that, we need to have an understanding of what is an RPO and RTO. Recovery time objective, in short, RTO is nothing but the time duration used to recover the backed up machine once after the disaster. In the same scenario, RPO is up to which point we can recover a machine, a physical machine or virtual machine after the disaster. We are glad to announce that Vembu VM Backup is a product which provides an RPO and RTO less than of 15 minutes so that you can ensure that you provide the best disaster recovery solution for your customers. So Vembu VM Backup offers some instant recovery, say like in 3 modes majorly. So an instant boot of a virtual machine which has a virtual machine spinning up and running of the backed up machine within a minute, and an instant file level recovery. And for application oriented environments like Exchange, SharePoint, SQL, or Active Directory, you can even perform a granular recovery minutes after the disaster recovery. So, and the next big question is like, how can I rely on my backups? So to address this issue or this question, we have an intelligent feature called backup verification, where Vembu's VM backup product is built with an automated backup verification feature called every day on a daily basis. All the backed up machine, either that could be a virtual machine or a physical machine, will be automatically booted up, and the boot screen will be taken as a screenshot, and those screenshots will be mailed to the IT administrators. So the IT administrators can simply go through the mail which has a screenshot, and he can rest assured that all the backed up machines are consistent and are bootable, and it even ensures the applications running inside the virtual machine are consistent. So here comes the best part. Um, Many of the data center administrators are very much worried about the growth of the data storage size in their environment. To address this, we have come up with a new technology method called Vembu Hive file system. This is completely our own patented file system designed in such an intelligent way where it has an inbuilt version control, inbuilt compression and deduplication mechanism, a military level encryption with an inbuilt error correction mechanism. So this Vembu Hive file system is capable of getting it implemented in any type of storage called NAS, SAN, or whatever it may be. So it is not something like an environment specific thing. You can just implement it in a NAS or SAN or a physical device which is connected to your servers. So this is an intelligent file system that could be easily implemented in your storage devices, and you can have an exponential data growth control in your storages. And the migration between a physical to a virtual machine or between hybrid environments like VMware to Hyper-V or vice versa. So the other solutions will go through some hectic procedures to convert to make this migration. However, Vembu VMBackup facilitates you to perform this migration in no minutes. It is achievable like Vembu supports an instant creation of a VMDK, VHD, and raw files of the backed up virtual machine or physical machine, so that the user can simply use that VMDK file, VHD, or raw file to put that virtual machine into a different virtual machine environment or boot it into a physical machine, whatever. So using this, you can simply achieve a physical to virtual machine conversion or a virtual machine between hybrid environments like VMware Hyper-V and vice versa. And the best part is you can do this in no minutes or in a very less downtime. And why we actually need Vembu's VM backup for. So nowadays, the backing up of virtual and physical servers are typically become more expensive and difficult to manage. So the idea behind the product is to build a solution which has an efficient manageability option where you can simply use the Vembu VMBackup and then from the solution team to walk you through the process.
Thanks, Manoj, and I'm here, and my name is Santhan. I'm just going to go through about how the architecture works and how you're going to configure the VM backup and what are the different types of transport mode available in the Vembu VM backup. So here I'm just going to explain you about the Vembu VM backup architecture. The first one is a very simple concept of having a proxy client on one of your VMs. That is in a VM host, where you can install the proxy client on any one of the VMs, whether it is in the physical machine or it's a virtual machine, or you can even install the proxy client in one of the VMs running on the host. And you're just going to have the Vembu VDR backup server, which is the backbone of the whole VDR suite. That's where the data has been stored, compressed, encrypted, and deduped. And we are going to use the data when in the case of disaster recovery. So this is the architecture of the Vembu VMBackup, where you can see there's a proxy client transferring the data from the VMware host to the Vembu VDR backup server. And for additional information, we also support VMware Replication for high availability. So once the VM is down, we do have those options where you can instantly turn on in your target EXI. So this is the architecture for the VM application, where the Vembu VM backup exactly connects two different EXI hosts, where the data will be replicated instantly or in your specific time from one EXI server to another EXI server. So there will be an identical or replicated VM for each of your selected VMs. So this is the basic Vembu VM backup architecture for VM replication, where you will go ahead and select what are VMs you need to replicate, and Vembu VM backup does the rest, which is its do of replicating the data to the targeted EXI host, which you select. So now we are just going to move forward with what are the advantages of VMware backup and replication. So both the VMware backup and replication is the agentless data, where you don't have to install the agent on each and every VM, or you don't even need to install it on the host. It can be on any physical server, based on your requirements and your circumstances and the environment which you use. And we do backup, host-level VMware backup and replication using the vStorage APIs, and we do track the CVD incremental data, where once the full backup goes in, all the other data will be on the incrementals, where it will just transfer the data on the changes happening in that mission. And also, we do have the application of our changes. Let's say when you're running a Exchange server or the SQL server, the data will be truncated and logged. So we know when the backup runs, and we just send a message to the particular VM to purge the data. And we use different transport mode, particularly hot-add and SAN mode are more efficient, where it gives you high performance. And we are just going to see in detail about the transfer modes. Basically, Vembu VM Backup supports three type of transfer modes. One is direct SAN and hot-add and network mode. And what the good thing is, you don't have to choose which mode you need the backup to be transferring in. So Vembu VM Backup has the intelligence to select which mode based upon your environment and based upon the storage which you're having. So automatically chooses which mode it needs to be transferred in. So once you configure the backup, the backup will go based on the best selected type of transport mode which you have. So the first one, it's a direct SAN mode. So where it read the data directly from the SAN storage. For this, you need to have a SAN data store, and also it works on the fiber channel network or in the ESXi. So you need to install the client agent on one of the physical servers on the VM machine, which has the direct access to the SAN. So it doesn't go through the VM to get the changes, or it doesn't go through the host to get the changes of the VM. It directly reads data from the SAN mode, and it just sends it over to the backup server, where it is stored with encrypted, compressed, and deduped. So the next one is a hot-add mode, which is similar to that of the SAN mode, but the difference is you just have to install the client machine, that is the VMware proxy client, and one of the VMs, or you can dedicate a VM for the client machine. So once you do that, the disk in the other VMs will be attached directly to the particular proxy client VM machine, and it reads this data from the disk, and it sends it over to the Vembu VDR backup server. So this is the hot-add transfer mode. These two modes have the high performance and the transferring of data, which is very high the time. And the third and last one is the network transfer mode, which is where the Vembu VM backup reads the data through the client, and once the client sends the data to the Vembu VM backup, it will automatically send the change data to the Vembu VDR backup server, where it transfers the data through the TCP IP connection between the EXI host and the Vembu VM backup client. The data transfer speed will be lower than the other two modes, But as I said, the VM backup client will automatically choose the board depending upon the environment which you have. So now we are just going to go with a demo of how we are going to configure the backups. So just give me a minute. Let me just pull up one of my test machines here so I can just show you the live demo. So this is the Vembu VM backup client proxy agent, where this is the page where you can configure or add the Vembu VM backup host. That is the VMware servers. So let's just we have to go to backup, virtual backups, and VMware. So once you select that, it'll bring you to this particular page where you do see an option here, add VMware servers. So once you click on that, it will give you it's a page where you can enter the host name, username, and a password. So I believe we have already done that. We have already added a host. So once you have added a ESXi host, you can even add the vCenter host name here. So once you add it, it will be listed below. So all you have to do is you have to come back to the previous page where it will give you an option to select you through the ESXi host which you prefer. So let me just select it. So I've selected the host which I've added already. So I'm just going to go ahead with the add VM backup option. So it will list all the VMs in that particular host. So here it comes. So here are basically all the VMs which is already available on that particular host. So I'm just going to select one particular VM. So you can select n number of VMs depending upon your requirement. We don't have any limitations where you have to select only a particular number of VMs. So I'm just selecting one for the test purpose, and I'm just going to, so here it's where the RTOs and RPOs apply, where my friend Manoj explained a few minutes ago. So depending upon your requirements, you can even have the backups every 30 minutes or on all specific days, or you can have a backup run daily. So this is where you give the IP address of the backup server where it is already provided here. So once you're done with this page, you can just click on to proceed, and here the retention policy appears. So we have two different retentions. One is basic, another one is advanced. So basic and advanced is nothing but the basic retention is you can select the number of incrementals available for the past day. So let's say I need 90 incrementals. So I can select the 90 incrementals or how many incrementals would you need depending upon your environment and retention. And advanced retention is a GFS option, which we call it as a grandfather father son. So it provides the data depending upon the monthly and the weekly and the daily retention. So we call the monthly as a grandfather and the weekly as a father and the daily as a son. So depending upon the requirement, you can set the dates and the time which you need. So let's say, and as we spoke, the application aware is to truncate the transaction logs. So if you select it, the logs will be truncated. And if you need to have the additional full backup for more than a week, let's say in a monthly twice or thrice, you can still go ahead and select that. So this is where you give the additional full backup. I'm just going to enable it. So it gives this option, and it gives nearly how many full backups you need to retain. So like 15 or 10, depending upon your requirements. And the last portion is I'm just going to go ahead and review the name. And I'm just going to configure a backup, and I'm just going to give a name to it. So that's it. It's done and dusted. So it's a very simple process where you can go ahead and configure backup within few minutes. So once I'm selected, it will ask us the permission to confirm it. So once you confirm, the backup will be run up and running. So I believe you understand how the architecture and the transfer mode works. And also we have just gone through the backups. So if you have any questions, you can ping us in the chat session. So I'm just now going to transfer this presentation over to Tiago, who's just going to explain you what are the different types of disasters recovery scenarios we are providing through Vembu VMBackup. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Shanta. And so talking about the different recovery options available, so just give me a quick minute. I'll have my screen shared so that I'll go ahead and um, All right. So now we're going to go ahead and discuss about some disaster recovery scenarios. So to get started, the first thing is going to be instant boot for ESXi host. So basically, when you initiate a backup of an ESXi server, based on the diagram which is shown, you could just go ahead and restore a specific VM as an what to say, you could instantly go ahead and mount that particular image backup as a VM, and you could go ahead and have that particular image backup running as a VM on the hypervisor, which is available on the backup server. And so with regards to this, so you could instantly boot up the backup VM on the ESXi host, or you could even share the Vembu virtual drive by using NFS share, and you could also go ahead and mount it. And then you have an option to go ahead and create a VM on the ESXi host, and you could just go ahead and directly restore that particular VMDK file to that ESXi server. So we'll go ahead and first complete the different types of recovery options, and then I'll go ahead and give you a live presentation of it so that you could get a better idea of how to go ahead and initiate the restore for the product. So the next one is wherein you could actually go ahead and instantly mount the VM on the Microsoft Hyper-V, which is available on the backup server. So basically, as I was talking earlier, we have an instant boot feature which is available, wherein we could go ahead and mount the image backup of that particular VM on the native or the remote hypervisor that is available, and you could still go ahead and have those VMs running as a you could have that particular image backup running as a VM on the hypervisor, which is available on the backup server. And in case if your backup server is running a Ubuntu-based server operating systems, in that case, you could just go ahead and use KVM, which is an hypervisor which is available on Ubuntu Linux-based server operating system. And you could go ahead and perform an instant boot, and you could have that image backup running as a VM on KVM. And once that is mounted on KVM, whatever changes that you do to this particular thing would also be backed up under regular intervals, wherein you would be able to go ahead and save those changes, and at any point you would be able to go ahead and get the complete data recovered. And the next is like you could go ahead and initiate a restore directly to an ESXi host. So this is a native recovery option wherein you could go ahead and specifically select a particular VM, and you could go ahead and restore that particular VM directly to an ESXi host or to the vCenter, which is available on your environment. And the next one is that you could just go ahead and perform a restore of a VM to a Hyper-V V2V. So basically, you could go ahead and restore a specific VM, wherein using our own file system, you would be able to go ahead and convert the file format, which is of .vmdk file, to a VHD format, and you could have that particular VM running as a VHD, and you could go ahead and have that server running as a VM on the Hyper-V host, which is available on your environment. And it applies the similar in case of Linux KVM, wherein you could go ahead and convert this image backup to a raw format, and then you could go ahead and have that particular image backup running as a VM on the hypervisor on the Ubuntu-based server operating system, which is KVM. And the last thing is going to be a file level restore. So basically, when you initiate a VM level backup, we also support granular restore of files and folders. So basically, we have a feature called Mount VHD, wherein you could actually mount this image backup as a virtual drive, and you would have that image backup listed as a drive on the File Explorer window. So basically, what happens is, like, when you click on the Mount VHD option, it would ask you to go ahead and select the VM that you would like to restore, and then it would automatically go ahead and mount that image backup as a drive on the disk management console on the backup server, and thereby you would be able to see that image backup listed as a drive on your File Explorer window. So when you go ahead and open up that particular drive, you would be able to go ahead and see all the files and folders, and likewise you would be able to go ahead and perform granular restore of files and folders. And the next is a VM disk level restore. So basically, you could go ahead and select a specific disk, and you could restore it to a different VM or to the same VM on your environment. And the next one is a failover, wherein you could instantly mount the replicated VM from the target ESXi host, and you could go ahead and have that particular thing running on another VM when, in case if there is a disaster available. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is Vembu Universal Explorer, wherein in case if you have some applications running on your guest VMs, like basically if you run any applications like Exchange or SQL or SharePoint onto the VM, we have an option to go ahead and even perform granular restore of applications. So basically, you could go ahead and download the Universal Explorer, and you could go ahead and perform granular restore of SQL databases, wherein you could specifically restore a database, or you could even perform an Exchange mail level restore or granular level restore of individual emails and SharePoint site level restores. And the last one is going to be the Vembu Virtual Drive. Basically, Vembu Virtual Drive will be available on the backup server, and whatever basically what function or what Vembu Drive does is, like, basically using our own file system, it would incorporate all the backups into different file formats, so that when you go ahead and explore the Vembu Virtual Drive, you would be able to see the backups listed as a VHD file format, VHDX, VMDK flat, or RAW file format. For every incremental schedule, full virtual hard disk files would be created without using additional storage. So that's one of the highlighted feature by using our own file system. And with that, we'll go ahead and have a quick demonstration on the product where we could go ahead and see the different recovery options and other things. So let me go ahead and have that thing show to you. Give me a quick minute. So now we're going to go ahead and log into the backup server, and yeah, so this is the Vembu BDR backup server, and for our webinar, we have this deployed on Windows Server 2012 R2. And now when you go to list of clients, this is the place where you could actually see all the clients which has been backing up to the backup server listed. So when it comes to VM backup, I have a client which runs a VM backup, and you could see the different recovery options which is available. So the first one is going to be restore to an ESXi server, wherein you could click on this option, and you would be able to go ahead and perform a VM level restore of a specific VM from one ESXi host to another ESXi host for disaster purpose. So basically, if you click on this option, you would be able to go ahead and select the VM. First of all, you would be selecting the timestamp, and once you have the timestamp selected, then you would be selecting the VM that you would like to restore, and then you would be specifying the target details, the target restore details, where you would like to restore it directly to an ESXi host or to the vCenter of your choice. So by specifying those details, and once you go ahead and click on the review configuration option, you would have that particular VM directly restored to that particular ESXi host or to the vCenter, and thereby you would have that VM running on that particular data store. And the next thing we're going to talk about is instant boot, which is one of the highlighted features which is available. So basically, when you initiate a VM level backup, in case if that ESXi host is running into any problem, you could just go ahead and perform an instant boot, wherein you could actually mount a live VM image backup onto the hypervisor which is available on the backup server. So in order to do that, you would just click on this instant boot option. And once you click on this instant boot option, you would be able to go ahead and first select the timestamp that you would like to restore, and then you would be specifying the VM that you would like to be mounted. So once you select the VM, then you would be selecting the instant boot software. So by default, when you deploy the backup server software on Windows Server 2012 R2 or Windows Server 2008 R2, it comes with HyperV. So we're going to go ahead and use that HyperV to go ahead and perform the instant boot. And then we're going to go ahead and specify the amount of RAM which is required for that particular server to be mounted. And once that is done, you could just click on the option where it says instant boot. And when you click on S, you would have that particular image backup or that particular VM running on HyperV. So now I'm just going to go ahead and open up the HyperV Manager, and you could actually go ahead and see one of the VM that is being created. And all you could do is just go ahead and select that particular thing, and you would be able to go ahead and power up that, and you would be able to go ahead and have that VM running on your environment. So this is the one that was booted right now, which says 14/2016 at 9:20 8 a.m. So once you have this powered up, you would be able to go ahead and have that server connected to your environment using a private IP address, and thereby you could go ahead and start using it for your production without having any downtime. So these are some of the highlighted features which is available with the product, and with that we will go ahead and talk about the pricing. So let me have the screen shared once again for you. So now we're going to go ahead and have a quick look on the pricing. And yeah, so when it comes to pricing, this is going to be the pricing for VMware Backup and Replication. So basically, Vembu charges VMware Backup based on CPU socket count. So basically, if you have an ESXi host which is deployed on a mission which has 2 CPU sockets, you need to buy 2 VMware image backup license and backup unlimited VMs. And it's an early license where you could go ahead and renew the license per year. And the license cost is going to go ahead and include a 24/7 telephone support and email support. And we also go ahead and provide you unlimited product upgrade. So likewise, as you see, it's going to cost you $360 per CPU per socket for backing up your VMware ESXi host. And we have an option to go ahead and perform an offsite DR. So basically, if you go ahead and have your offsite data backed up to your own data center, in that case, it's going to cost you $90 per CPU socket per annum. And we also have our own cloud, which is available, where then you could go ahead and have your offsite backup running to our own cloud, which is running on Amazon AWS S3. And if that is the case, it's going to be it's going to cost you 20 cents per GB per month for the total amount of data. So basically, the total size of data which is being backed up to the offsite copy would be calculated on a prorated basis, and you would be charged on monthly usage. And with that, we also have upcoming webinars, which is going to go ahead and show you a very detailed demonstration on Hyper-V backups and physical server image backups. So basically, you could stay tuned, or you could visit our website very frequently, wherein you could go ahead and have time to go ahead and join the future webinars. And with that, we come to the end of the session, and these are some of the toll-free numbers which is available. So basically, at any point, if you have any technical questions or any sales-related questions, you could go ahead and dial into these numbers, or you could even email us to the support email address which is available. And with that, we're going to go ahead and give about 2 to 3 minutes of time for the question and answer section. So basically, at any point, if you have any questions, you could just go ahead and type those questions on the questions section window, so that we have a panel of people who would go ahead and answer your questions, and they could go ahead and have all the, so that would be all the, so you would be having all the questions answered. All right, so we have some couple of questions which is being posted by the attendees. We'll go ahead and share a few. The first thing which was asked is like, did you have a demo of live bootable VM from the backup? Yes, the instant booter feature, instant boot is the feature which is the one that is capable of performing an instant boot of a specific backup VM, and you could have that VM running on the hypervisor which is available on the backup server in case of Windows-based backup server, and in case if it's a Linux-based backup server, you could have that particular VM booted on KVM, and you could have that server running as a VM on your environment. And likewise, in case of VMware backups, or like if you would like to have some personalized demo, you could always get in touch with our sales team, wherein we would be able to go ahead and schedule a personalized demo, and we would go ahead and have a one-on-one session with all of your, and based on that, you could all have all your questions clarified. And to tell you that we have this webinar recorded, so at any point, if you would like to have a recorded copy, you could just drop us an email where we would be able to go ahead and share the presentation to you so that you could have a quick look on the product. And so thank you everyone for joining today's session. And with that, we come to the end of the session, and I'll be ending the session. Yeah, with regards to the questions, so if we have missed out some of the answers for specific questions, we'll have our support team to go ahead and reply you back for those answers so that they would go ahead and get in touch with you. Thank you once again, and thank you for all joining this webinar, and have a great weekend. Bye.